Next on BYUSN, Super Saturday approaches for BYU athletics. Is it about winning big, like 17-plus big?
Ooh. Plus, the Vengeance Tour continues for women's soccer as they get it done to go to the Sweet 16 in dramatic fashion.
Welcome to BYU Sports Station, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. Friday, this is how we do it. On November 18th, wherever and however you're connected, great to have you with us. I am Spencer Linton, teamed up alongside your weekend's party host, Jarom Jordan.
Dude, we got a busy Saturday, which is super exciting with football and men's basketball. Much more on that coming up. Plus, we got 2 games in action involving BYU teams or BYU guys internationally. We will update you in the headlines coming up in a moment. But on today's show, Riley Nelson will join the program. His advice for Jaron Hall as he approaches what seems like an easy decision. But what does Riley have to say about it? Olympian and national champion runner and coach Ed Eyestone will join us from Nationals for cross country in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Plus, women's soccer and PKs against Stanford.
Let's go.
Awesome. Olivia Wade will join us from North Carolina, and our game day guarantees guaranteed to probably not happen on a game day eve. But first, here are today's headlines.
BYU football tomorrow. Senior day, junior day, COVID day. Which Cougars are playing their final game at LaVell Edwards Stadium? We're not entirely sure.
Can we not call it COVID day, please?
We are sure. Kickoff happens at 3:30 Eastern live on BYUtv with extensive pregame coverage beginning at 1:30 Eastern, also live on BYUtv and BYU Radio.
Hey, I'm on the show, and I got the last Y Factor pick. There was nothing left.
Now you know how I feel.
Nothing left for me. At least you picked ahead of me. Men's Hoops is 2-1, hosts Nichols, who are 0-2 tomorrow in the Marriott Center out of Louisiana. Pregame scheduled for 8 Eastern on BYUtv and BYU Radio. I say scheduled because who knows what happens with the football postgame in the game. We're flexible. We're on for 10 hours tomorrow.
All-day sports. Number 6 seed BYU women's soccer advances to the Sweet 16 with an upset win over 3 seed Stanford in penalty kicks. Here's a sweet taste of what it looked and sounded like.
The run up by Evans, the shot, the save! The save by Sill! Right-footed shot, and a goal! Ellie sends the Cougars to the round of 16, and how sweet it is!
A jubilant Greg Wrubell. Back-to-back Sweet 16s for the first time in program history. The Cougars will now face number 2 seed North Carolina on Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. You can watch on ESPN Plus and listen live on BYU Radio.
Cougars in the NFL this weekend. Zach Wilson and the Jets play at New England. Tyler Algier and the Falcons are in action versus the Bears. Taysom Hill and the Saints play the Rams. Jamal Williams and the Lions hit the road against the Giants. Dax Milne and the Commanders take on the Texans in Houston. Brady Christensen and the Panthers play out Baltimore. Kyle Van Noy and Michael Davis of the Chargers take on the Chiefs at home. And Sione Takitaki and the Browns play the Bills in Detroit due to weather in Buffalo.
BYU women's basketball enjoying much better weather than Buffalo in Hawaii. Oahu specifically to play in the North Shore Showcase with games today and tomorrow. The women on the hunt for win number 1 this season and win number 1 for first-year head coach Amber Whiting. The 0-3 Cougs play Washington State at 8 Eastern tonight. They'll take on Troy at 8 Eastern on Saturday.
Number 3 men, number 10 women's cross country compete in the national championships tomorrow in Stillwater, Oklahoma. 10:20 a.m. Eastern for the women, 11:10 a.m. Eastern for the men. We'll chat with Ed Eyestone later in the program.
17th ranked BYU women's volleyball sweeps Pepperdine 3-0 last night in Malibu behind old reliable Aaron Livingston, 20 kills. BYU will stay in California for their next match tomorrow at 4 Eastern against LMU.
LMU is up 2-1, took San Diego to 5, nearly won that.
Woo!
And they were up 13-9. Like, they kind of blew it. Sorry, 9-6. They kind of blew it. In Round Rock, Texas at Nationals, men's club soccer beat Rutgers 6-0, then Texas A&M 4-1 in the second round. Cougars playing Colorado State in the round of 16 as we speak. They're up 2-0 at halftime. Goals from Eric Morris and Isaiah Strong. If they win, they'll play today at 6 Eastern, potentially tomorrow in the semis, and for a national championship, what they have won in 2019 and 2021 most recently.
BYU Swim and Dive will conclude competition at the Mizzou Invite today and get back in the pool action on November 30th in Greensboro, North Carolina for the Toyota U.S. Open meet.
Paul Lasike is in Dubai and in the starting lineup for USA Rugby, taking on Portugal in a winner-take-all for the final spot in the World Cup in France next year. I'm watching it as we speak. USA is up 16-13 with 14 minutes left.
Go.
Gotta finish that to get to the World Cup. Come on, Paul.
BYU men's golf announces the signing of 2 new standouts, including Cooper Jones, a 4-time first-team All-State player out of Lone Peak High School, big get for Todd Miller and company, and Peter Kim, a 3-time first-team All-State player from Skyline High School in Salt Lake City. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
10, 5, touchdown! With ice water in his veins!
Oh, Super Saturday approaches, everyone. BYU football will kick things off quite literally. 3:30 Eastern, live on BYUtv. And BYU men's basketball taking care of business against Nicholls State in the Marriott Center later that night. Now, football and basketball in mind, Jarom, they're going to be heavy favorites in both of these games. So the question for this Friday before the Super Saturday is it 17 plus or bust for both BYU football and basketball tomorrow?
I say yes, because in football, certainly against an FCS opponent with a losing record, you respect what Utah Tech's done the last 3 games. They were 1-6. They won 3 in a row. They're putting up 40 plus a game the last couple. They're giving up a lot as well. Certainly, we expect BYU at home, despite the struggles at 5-5, to win this game handily. Yes, so 17 plus there. Oh no, James, it's 17 plus.
The curse has
I
been
said that
invoked.
against South Florida, and that's the only game where it's happened. I haven't said it since. Although I did say Oregon 10 plus, but I didn't say the 17 plus.
You didn't say it against Utah State? I'm pretty sure you said it against
Did I say it against Utah State? Okay, you're right. I probably said it against Utah State. Nicholls, Ken Palm says that's an 18-point win by BYU.
Okay.
So the metrics are saying yes, 95% chance to win, 85 from BPI, 90 from team rankings. Yes. But both teams need to blow a fool out here.
Come on.
And men's hoops needs that comfortable win. If BYU men's hoops, again, for a 3rd straight home game, plays a close game where they need a bucket in the final 12 seconds, there's a massive issue. Because I've said, like, the way BYU is playing right now, in the 2 home games in particular, not at San Diego State, that was a nice showing despite the loss. There is a moral victory element to that because we don't know what to expect from this team. Okay, through 3 games, BYU is a fringe NIT team at the moment. I'm not talking NCAA tournament. I'm talking NIT. They got to play better at home, take care of business. Missouri State was better than Idaho State for sure. But BYU makes a play to win. That's great. But they need to start making strides where they play better. Because next week in men's hoops is the hardest 3-game stretch of the entire season.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's USC, it's Tennessee or Butler, and then it's like a Dayton, Wisconsin, Kansas type team on the other end, depending how the Cougars do.
In the Bahamas.
Probably not Kansas. And the Bahamas. So, yes, 17 plus for both is the expectation.
Wow. Okay. I mostly agree with you in that BYU needs to win convincingly on both sides, certainly with football. Although Malcolm Ross Turner, the Utah Tech wide receiver, would have you believe that Utah Tech's going to bring it and give BYU a close game. No, BYU needs to take care of business to get bowl eligible. 17 plus needs to happen. Yes. Like bookend. Well, I shouldn't say bookend because they still have Stanford. But South Florida to begin and Utah Tech almost at the end of the season and the penultimate game. Essentially bookend it with big-time wins, convincing wins. Leave no doubt by late in the 2nd quarter.
Big time only in margin, not in the
that's what I'm saying. Leave no doubt where BYU's up 28-3 at halftime or 31-0 at halftime.
We need to see Jacob Conover tomorrow.
Please.
The game needs to be out of hand to the point where he plays. More on that coming up.
I don't want Jaron Hall and Puka Nacua and all of these guys that BYU relies so heavily on to have to play late into this game.
No, that'd be terrible. Listen, Utah Tech's got a good offense.
For sure.
Joey Hobart, Wazoo transfer. Dude's got 1,000-plus yards, like 14 touchdown catches. They've got a nice run game as well.
Sure. Joey can get his touchdown, and BYU can win 49-7. All good.
I want 60. We haven't seen it from this team, just that explosion of offense outside of the first quarter against USF. So it'd be nice to see that because this team is capable.
Yes.
Utah Tech is growing as a program, transitioning from D2 to D1, FCS, WAC team. Funny that they're in the same league that BYU made a name for itself.
Yeah.
BYU won a national title in that league. Is Carl Benson still the commish, by the way?
I have no idea.
Is he still? Does anyone know that? Is that a thing you can look up on the internet? I look it up on Twitter, but I don't know if it'll be there when I check.
BYU's coming off of a bye. Speaking of football.
I heard that.
Okay, I'm not buying the rust. Like, you can't have rust. You can't have rust against Utah Tech. You got to come out and be sharp against Utah Tech, especially when you have Jaron Hall, a NFL draft pick in the 3rd round projected, as your quarterback, and you're throwing to Puka Nacua, and you have one of the best offensive lines in the country, or so we thought, and we still think to a degree, right?
Like, BYU's good. Are they like the 22nd? I don't know.
Okay, one of the better offensive lines in the country.
You tell me. I don't know.
The Cougars need to take care of business at home tomorrow. I don't want this to be even close to 17+. Like, if
it's 17, I have an issue.
Right, if it's like 27-10.
No, BYU needs to be in the 50s at least. Like, you're at home. It's an FCS foe not named North Dakota State. You know what I mean? I would say James Madison, but they're FBS now.
Just leave no doubt by halftime. That's what I'm hoping for. Make sure that this game is like in hand for the most part by halftime.
And Kalani, like, BYU puts up points. Honestly, he's too nice. Like, in these games, he'll pull off the pedal midway through the 3rd where BYU just runs it. It's like, you know what we need to see in tomorrow's game and overanalyze it is Jacob Conover.
I was going to say angry Kalani.
Well, angry Kalani hopefully doesn't show up tomorrow, right? We don't want anybody angry. We want, hopefully, everyone's cool.
Touche.
Yeah, and BYU's welcoming back a couple of BYU guys that have played for the Cougars at Utah Tech, and Loney, Hebron Fangupo goes by Loney, and Shane Hunter, and Jamison Clark. Steve Clark's son is the coach over there, and others like Paul Peterson was on the BYU staff as an analyst back in 06 and 07. He's the head coach. So there are connections, right? Which, by the way, Justin Anderson and Patrick Hickman and BYU staffers and Shane Hunter, they're going to wear Virginia attire, which all the coaches that were on the staff at Virginia around the country, they're 9 different teams. They're going to wear Virginia stuff tomorrow.
Great sign of respect.
So when you see Virginia there, you know why.
Great sign of respect.
To honor, obviously, the 3 fallen players from Sunday night's tragedy.
Sure, I love that
That's
so
cool.
much.
This game needs to be one where BYU dominates. And honors the seniors. We all feel good, and then we come to basketball.
I need to give you where I differ with you on the opinion of 17+ as it pertains to basketball. Because BYU has beaten Idaho State and now Missouri State closely, I feel like it's a little unfair for us to expect 17+ in that regard. I do expect, however, a double figures win. Like, BYU needs to beat Nicholls State by at least 10 points. Nicholls State lost to Arizona by 42 on the road. They lost to Wyoming by 11 on the road. I think BYU is a better basketball team than Wyoming, or at least on par with Wyoming right now. So BYU needs to win by 10 or 11 points at the worst. Not quite 17+, but a double figures win. Like, let's get it done. For sure.
That'd be enough, but it's not enough to make you feel confident going into the Bahamas.
Is there anything that BYU could do tomorrow to make you feel confident going into the Bahamas?
Like, teams have lost weird games. Like, Utah lost to Sam Houston State.
A bye game. Utah paid Sam Houston State to come and play in Salt Lake City and lost.
Always crazy.
The epitome of brutality, as John Rothstein calls it.
Yes. Yeah, bring in the Rothstein one-liners. That's so corny. Topic 2, game day guarantees.
It's time for your BYU Sports Nation game day guarantees. Guaranteed. Yeah, right. To be wrong.
Okay, here we go. On the season,
Mike
Spence.
still on?
Yeah,
it's still on.
The mic's still on.
We're moving on.
Yeah.
Spence is 16 for 30. I'm 8 for 30.
Yeah. How about that, Ben? I'm over 50%.
Supposed to be guaranteed. We're both bad. Okay, number 1. BYU wins by 17+.
Oh,
just
right.
one time. It's happened this year. It's going to happen for a second team.
Yes. I mean,
2, Jacob Conover plays in the game. This seems like no duh, but he's only played 1 snap all year. It was against Arkansas. One snap.
Okay.
Okay, and 3, Utah Tech will have fewer than 400 yards.
Please.
Why do I say this?
Please.
Because BYU's 5-0 when it allows sub 400, and 0-5 when allowing more. That has been like the yard benchmark. It's not causation, it's correlation. But it's interesting. Perhaps it is because yards lead to points.
If Utah Tech has more than 400 total yards, there's a serious issue.
They've got 28 points in the game.
Exactly. And Jaron Hall and Puka Nacua are on the field in the 4th quarter.
Hopefully they have 700.
Into a shootout. 49-42.
No, it could be like 49-28.
I don't want it to be that.
I mean?
I don't want it to be that.
Depends,
all right.
Yeah.
Game day guarantee number 1. BYU will have at least 21 points by halftime. Now,
guaranteed.
I picked 21 because, again, Utah Tech wide receiver Malcolm Turner-Ross said, maybe BYU will score 21 for the game. No, we're giving him 21.
We're giving him way too much
at halftime.
PT here.
Well, I want bulletin boards. I want BYU to come out and play angry.
If BYU needs that,
No, I want it.
Stink.
I want it. Number 2, 5 different players for BYU will attempt at least one rush in this game.
Yeah, that's guaranteed.
Well, Chris Brooks isn't going to play. Mason Fakahua has been banged up.
Wait, Brooks isn't playing?
I don't think he's going to play.
Oh, Harvey Ungas said.
He said he's available.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to play based on what Aaron Roderick told me last week.
Oh.
I don't think so. So I think we'll see Hinkler Rapati, Lopini Katoa, Miles Davis, and then Jaron Hall, and then maybe a wide receiver flex is back.
And then a jet sweep.
Right, yeah. So I'm hoping 5 different players will attempt at least one rush in this game.
I
hope we see more.
Fair.
I hope we see more.
Some dude we've never heard of.
Okay. Number 3, Utah Tech will score 17 or fewer points in light of the emphasis on 17 points today.
It's a prime number, Spence.
49-17 is what I'm hoping for. Something close to that, Jarom. Or less, 49-10. I'll take that.
Oh, it's 70-0.
I'll take that
No,
too.
Utah Tech's got a good offense. They're going to score 2+ times. Let's go.
All right, time for us to hear from all of you in Voice of the Nation. Our question of the day is this. This is based on what happened on Twitter yesterday when reports surfaced that apparently Twitter's going away.
I don't actually think it's going away.
Neither do I.
No.
Twitter employees, a lot of them are unhappy, and apparently there's some sort of strike going on there. So if Twitter is dying,
I wonder why.
If Twitter is dying, what is your last tweet concerning BYU sports? At KTJ from Texas.
Can we just call this the Elite Voice
Maybe
right now?
It's an early Elite Voice nominee. He says simply, 1984, with like 8 exclamation points after it. We're still living in
We're like ancient Israel. We just point back to Egypt.
1984.
84.
1984.
It's a long time ago, but remember that? That was awesome.
My favorite T-shirt in my closet right now is from the BYU 50 box that says simply 1984 in royal blue and white. It's so simple.
And then underneath it says, gosh, wish I had something a little more updated, but that's what we got, you know? I want Utah to have shirts say 1944 for the men's basketball national
championship, yeah. At Plan 300 says, quote, "It's my fault, guys. I promised the man upstairs he could delete Twitter if BYU got into the Big 12.
Worth it.
In hindsight, I should have specified I meant my Twitter, not all of Twitter."
That's funny. Okay, coming up tomorrow, Super Saturday on BYUtv. Things get started at 1:30 Eastern Time ahead of football versus Utah Tech. Pregame on BYUtv. The game, postgame, of course, as well. Then at 8 Eastern, we got hoops, wire to wire, 2 pregame shows, 2 games, 2 postgame shows. Too good to miss on BYUtv in the app.
Former BYU quarterback and current BYU football radio analyst Riley Nelson joins us next. He's looking great.
Oh,
what's his
facial hair.
advice to Jaron Hall as it pertains to his future and the NFL?
Okay.
BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery for great BYU chocolate milk and ice cream. BYU Food to Go, bringing campus to your table. Call for details, 801-422-5001.
There are things happening in Seaburg.
They care more about people spending money than they do about people getting sick.
If they're causing toxic pollution, it is everyone's fight. We can't just let them get away with it.
If anyone can figure this out, it's my brother.
Friends don't abandon each other.
fine. Be heroes.
I know what it's like to love someone so much you'd do anything for them.
Whatever happens, I'm glad we're facing it together.
Me too.
We are live on a Friday in Studio B with your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton. To my left sits Jarom Jordan. Joining us now over Zoom is former BYU quarterback, standout, and current BYU football radio analyst alongside Greg Wrubell. His name is Riley Nelson. Riley, welcome to the show on a Friday. It is a football Friday because you're going to watch some high school state championship games in the state of Utah here after you get done with this interview. And then a big day for BYU football tomorrow on Senior Day, if we can call it Senior. What should we call it? Should we call it Senior and Junior Day, given all the unknowns about who's coming back?
How about the last home game of the 2022 season? That's about as succinct as I can put it. But the reality is, it's nice that BYU is in a position. I mean, obviously, it's heavily influenced by COVID and, of course, the advanced age student admissions. But it's nice that BYU is in a position where we have so many underclassmen considering, opportunities beyond BYU. Of course, I hope that all of them stay and finish out their career, because those, they can only build their reputations. But it does speak to the progress of the program, because there have been times in the recent past where really no underclassmen, it wasn't worth anybody's time to consider leaving early. And now we got a handful of guys, and so that speaks to the talent level of the program.
Let's talk about Jaren Hall. Certainly it seems like he's going to be gone. He probably should go, given that he's been here, 5 years, and he's had a nice season. He's played through injury, which was kind of the last box for him to check in some scouts' mind. What do you think of how he's played this year, and is there any shot he comes back, or is he's straight gone, homie?
Of course there's a shot he comes back. I mean, priorities, and of course he's got, he's got a wife and a family and those kind of things to make considerations. When I talked to him before the season even started, he just felt that as old as he is, and age always being a point of conversation or really an excuse for talent evaluators in the NFL to kind of downgrade BYU players, that he was going to take an opportunity maybe sooner than later. But I think there's a chance he come back, albeit a slim chance. I will say this. I really think Zach Wilson caught lightning in a bottle, and it ended up being there were so many unique circumstances around that. I think Jaren's probably a mid-round guy, but that's okay. Like the fact that he's draft eligible at all, and even if he slips and goes an undrafted free agent, he's a guy that he's going to get into a camp with an NFL. He's going to with an NFL franchise. He's going to show his obvious talent and physical skills, but more than that, I think he's going to show that he's a guy you want in the locker room. I mean, much like Taysom Hill. Of course, Taysom has freak athletic ability above and beyond probably anybody that BYU's put out. Maybe Ziggy Ansah is a close rival, but as much as the Saints keep Taysom around for his freak athletic ability, they keep him around because the dude's intelligent. He is, consistent. He's a great locker room guy. He's a great teammate, and all those things. Jaren has those qualities as well.
Riley Nelson is with us on BYU Sports Nation. Riley, we've talked specifically about Jaren and his future. What are some of the other players that you are wondering if they come back, or maybe specifically which players do you think would benefit themselves if they came back instead of, jumping early and going to the NFL?
All of them would benefit early, in my opinion. I don't see any chatter from any draft evaluators or any NFL talent evaluators who are just chomping at the bit to take one of these guys in the first 2 rounds. And the reality is, everybody talks like, oh, they got to do what's best for their family. Well, the reality is, like, after taxes, and when you look at contracts and things like that, go all the way back to that ESPN 30 for 30 that was, I think it's like probably 8-9 years old at this point, called Broke, where it was Bernie Kosar, he was Miami quarterback and longtime Cleveland Browns, like longtime starter. The dude was an all-pro guy, and he was the one that made the comment. Everyone thinks there's a bunch of millionaires running around the NFL. It's really a bunch of thousandaires. And look, the reality is that has changed. The money continues to increase. But as we see, like 60% of the total pot goes to the quarterback, and the rest of the guys are, granted, like $800,000 a year, which is what those mid to late round guys will make, is of course great money, but it's not life-changing money. It doesn't set you up for life. And so, but staying one more year at BYU does two things. One, you can continue to take advantage of the total institution, the academic and the networking and all of those things to try and set you up for life after football, however long that may be. And two, I think by coming back, you can only improve your drafts. These handful of players who might be on the fence, they can only improve their draft stock. I'm seeing projections of like mid-round guys. I would not leave her if it was me. And of course, I didn't have this opportunity, so it's easy for me to speak hypotheticals. But I would not leave early, barring unforeseen circumstances, to be a mid-round draft pick. If I was a lock to be a first two, I would. But to leave for mid-rounds, I wouldn't. And that's, how many guys left in the last couple of years to be undrafted free agents and are now like looking for a job? And quite honestly, even though they might not admit it publicly, are probably wishing they would have come back and played out the full extent of their eligibility.
I agree with you on most guys. I think Dax Milne was the exception to that rule, where the iron was hot. He probably wasn't going to have a better season than that one. Again, he had a nice schedule, took advantage, had great stats, got in the 7th round. Now he's stuck with the Commanders. He's the only exception. And, selfishly, all of us probably hope all these guys come back. I do want to ask you about Jacob Conover. Do we need to see him tomorrow? Because it feels like if he's going to compete for the starting quarterback position next year, and certainly we expect a transfer to come in and compete for that spot as well. Don't we need to see him a little bit this year, or is that no guarantee?
Of course, as fans, we feel that need, but no, he doesn't need to play. The reality is seeing him in garbage time against, FCS backups doesn't really tell you much about what he's going to be as far as his potential as the future leader and starting quarterback of this program. What needs to be seen is what's being played on the screen right now. What's his dedication day in, day out in practice? How does he perform in spring ball, training camp? And the coaches are getting to see all that. We as fans don't get to see all that. Those of us that are lucky enough to be in the media maybe get to catch the last 10 minutes of practice where he might catch a rep or two, right? So we are shielded from the majority of what that evaluation will be. As much as I'm excited to see him, the need for Cougar Nation to see him I don't think it's something that weighs heavily on the minds of the BYU coaching staff, because they know that his evaluation is going on, in the practice facility.
Riley, how would you approach the quarterback situation for BYU moving forward next year with Conover there and Cade Fennigan and Soljay Maiava-Peters, but we all think Jaron Hall is going to be gone because of that 3rd to 4th round projection in the NFL. How would you approach it if you're recruiting it and coaching in that room?
Go get a transfer, and preferably I'd try and go pick one off who's maybe a backup in the Big 12. Like, that's the conference you're going in. That's the caliber of player that you need. And you have all unknown. And granted, if you can get an unhappy backup who maybe either hasn't gotten his chance to play or maybe didn't get a full chance but has shown promise and is really hungry to prove himself, you can never have too much talent, and especially at the quarterback position. Look at TCU, right? TCU had a fierce quarterback battle. Max Dunigan, who had started previously, got beat out for the job. The guy who won it gets hurt in the first game. Max comes in, takes over. What if TCU had been stuck with, it had only been stuck with that first option, the guy who won the job coming out of camp? They wouldn't be having the magical season that they're having. So I think in addition to the guys in the room today, who I have a lot of and excuse me, I'm sure you can hear my children. I'm sorry.
All good.
But
this is all about families in this program.
I thought we had audio of Cougar Board from the 4-game losing streak. That's my bad.
Yeah. Playing in the background. But look, as much as I am excited for the guys to get their opportunity that are currently there and have stuck it out at BYU, you got to go to if I'm BYU, priority number one is to go get pass rushers in the transfer portal. Priority number two is go get a quarterback from a P5, from an already existing P5 in the transfer portal to, if nothing else, increase the competition of that quarterback room. That's one man's opinion.
Riley, great stuff. We look forward to your call on BYU Radio tomorrow for the Cougars and Utah Tech.
Good luck in the audition for Creed 4.
Yeah.
I was thinking Home Alone 5 as the reincarnation of the Wet Bandits.
It's Marv, yeah.
A Marv!
Riley Nelson, a member of the Wet Bandits.
Now we know everywhere you've been.
Hey, great to talk with you,
Always
man.
a pleasure, fellas.
All right, we'll see you tomorrow. Riley Nelson.
He's just running up steps, just punching the air. Listen to BYU and Utah Tech with Riley and Greg and Mitchell and company starting at 1:30 Eastern tomorrow. Greg on his way back from North Carolina. Shep on a plane as we speak, headed that way to call some women's soccer tomorrow.
Up next on BYU Sports Station, he is an Olympian and a national champion, and he has coached national champions at Eyestone. But first, about some BYU women's soccer as we talk with Olivia Wade, who started the scoring yesterday. This is BYU Sports Station.
BYU.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
They prefer to be bringing the heat, getting set for success, demonstrating their drive. But when their blood and sweat turns to tears or anything else, we lay the groundwork for BYU's athletes to hit the ground running again, and you as well. Intermountain Healthcare, official medical provider for BYU Athletics.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork offers a large inventory of Ford vehicles, including a selection of cars and trucks, providing a range of transportation choices. From the Ford Fusion sedan and the Edge crossover SUV to a range of pickups including the F-150. Each product line comes with options to enhance performance, comfort, and safety. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
Hey family, if you're looking for something new to watch, stop scrolling and start streaming. BYUtv has a ton of great options to binge together. From bold adventure to family drama and even a little fun, there's something for everyone. Binge entire series, experience all the feels, immerse in non-stop intrigue, and treat yourself to unexpected turns. Think you know BYUtv? We're just getting started.
This is BYU Sports Nation. Make sure you follow us on social media. Interesting times, huh? Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We're still here. We believe it's going to stay. We're figuring it out at HQ right now. Whatever.
What will people do with their lives if there's no Twitter? Where do they get their information?
We'll actually talk to human beings, I guess.
Now, normally, here is where we would head off to the Cougar Whip Round, which is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner. But we're doing a 3-interview day today.
That's how we roll.
And rightly so, because BYU cross country is competing for another national championship tomorrow, the men's and women's side. And to help us prepare for that is an Olympian and national champion himself, head coach Ed Eyestone, joining us on BYUSN. Ed, it's great to have you on the show, man. What a time for BYU athletics, and specifically for your cross country programs, as you again are in the elite class competing for a national championship. What's different about this year's team as you prepare for tomorrow?
Well, this is probably my deepest men's team that I've had. 1 through 7, just talented guys, really every one of them capable on a good day to finish in the top 40, which is first team All-American. And we're just keeping our fingers crossed that we can do that all in the same race tomorrow and battle for a spot on the podium and hopefully up high on that podium.
Those are the expectations for this team. Is that the Book of Abraham behind you? What do we have going on today?
I'm just staying at a Holiday Inn Express, and this is some great artwork that we have here in the background.
We love the hotel artwork on a Zoom. It's part of the program. It really is. Okay, you guys have already...
The lighting is really good in here, too.
And the lighting's tremendous. It's all good. Yeah, it's all good. You guys have already run this course, the Griner Family OSU Cross Country course, like a month ago or something? What kind of benefit will that be for your team?
Yeah, well, we were fortunate that we came out here early in the year when it was a little warmer than 30 degrees. and we put together a very good, solid team performance and won the Cowboy Jamboree and beat some very good teams in the process. But we'll have to take on those same teams tomorrow. And some of those teams were holding out one or two guys earlier on. So they'll be at full capability. But then again, I think we're, 6 weeks more fit than we were. And so the nice thing about running this course before is it's probably one of the more challenging courses. This is a course that Connor Mantz won his first national championship on for the 2020 season, which was actually March of 2021 because of COVID. It's going to take some of that Connor Mantz sort of grit and determination to get up and down those hills tomorrow. But I think my men are prepared, and Coach Taylor's done a good job getting her women in good shape as well.
Yeah, one of those men and one of your All-Americans, Casey Klinger, finished 8th at Nationals last year. What are your expectations for him on this course tomorrow as he tries to lead this team to prominence again?
Well, he is our team leader, and obviously anytime you lose a two-time national champ like a Connor Mantz, somebody has to step up. And the thing I love about Casey Klinger is he has been there laboring in the shadows somewhat of Connor Mantz, but is an outstanding runner in his own right. And I think with this year, I think Casey has just taken on that mantle of leadership that comes with your kind of number one man. And the true mark of a champion is consistency. And I think race in, race out, he has demonstrated that consistency. He's kind of the man that we look to lead our team, our forces. And people know he's just going to have a good race regardless. And then everyone else just needs to, put their race together as well. And but so the interesting thing is there's some outstanding people that are, this is with Connor Mantz out of the action and without a dominant Kenyan, winning all of the major invitationals thus far, there's been some parity up front. And so even though there are some outstanding runners from Stanford and Oklahoma State, NAU, of course, has an individual, Nico Young, that many are saying could be the individual champion. Casey Klinger has beaten them all individually at various times. And so even though I don't know that many of the pundits are saying that he's somebody who could do that, I think he's certainly someone who is capable of putting himself in the hunt, and that's what you would expect from your team leader, your guy up front. He was 8th last year. We would hope that he can improve on that this year. And so we're looking for a great race from him and leading the rest of our, 7-man team to a good performance.
Let's talk about some of the others besides Casey Klinger, Brandon Garnick, obviously Christian Allen, the Weber State transfer, and the Thompson twins, and Joey Noakes and Kenneth Rooks. Like, who among those guys do you feel like will really help get some points for this group?
Well, I think for us to have a chance to, again, end up on the podium and end up high up on that podium, we need to have some good competition up front. And so the two of the guys that you mentioned, Brandon Garnica and Christian Allen, are guys who have been capable of being, finishing in the top 20. If we can get Casey in the top 10 and then Brandon and Christian in the top 15 of this outstanding field, then we could have 3 up front that might match up with Stanford's top 3. Stanford on paper, again, the reason why people have been saying that Stanford is going to win this thing is they have 3 guys that really could finish in the top 10. If we can have 3 guys finish, somehow break them up, or at least 1 or 2 guys break that up, and then have good compression between our 4, 5, 6, 7. And by compression, I just mean, just a couple seconds between those guys, and end up running ahead of their 4 or 5 runners. And if I can put 7 guys ahead of their 5th runner, or even 6 guys ahead of their 5th runner, then I think we have a chance.
Coach, let's finish with a question about the women and Diljit Taylor, who is doing a fantastic job with the women's program. What are the expectations for Diljit and her team? They finished 2nd last year. They go in ranked number 7. So what are the expectations right now?
Well, I think with a ranking of number 7, I think that Diljit has done an amazing job in her last 7 years of always having her national meet be the best meet of the year. So I know that even though this is a different team than the team that won the championship or finished second in the championship, she does a very good job of getting her people ready and prepared for race day. And so even though she probably wouldn't say this, I think that they are capable of things break the right way, of scrapping and battling and doing the best they can to get on that podium as well. Top 4 position, I think she would be ecstatic about. But again, there's a lot of parity out there, and I don't think we've seen the best race out of her women yet, because strategically she has rested some and kind of waited to put together her best 7 for this championship race.
He is our hotel art curator, Ed Eyestone, also a fantastic human being and fantastic cross-country coach. Let's give you some BYU Sports Nation karma to share with your teams. Good luck in Oklahoma. We will be watching closely tomorrow, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Go Cougs.
Ed Eyestone with us on BYU Sports Nation. For being, like, you know, just straight up front. And you said
we have been the whole time, the whole show.
We try, right? We try. That program, top to bottom, men and women, what's better than it at BYU?
Nothing.
Nothing.
It's a running school. It's not even a
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's not even a volleyball school.
There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just kidding. Like, incredible stuff going on in the men's and women's cross country.
But do they have 1,900 wins? That's what men's basketball is going for tomorrow. Taking on Nichols out of Louisiana. The 2-1 Cougs back home. Jackson Robinson guaranteed to dunk. 8 Eastern time on BYUtv and BYU Radio for the pregame.
Up next, she scored the only goal in regulation for BYU women's soccer yesterday in an upset win against Stanford. She is Olivia Wade. She is her. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
At BYU, we believe wholeheartedly in expanding joy, and that joy comes from learning and serving. Some of the best, most lasting learning happens when we serve, when we experience, when we connect in real, lasting ways. It's what we call inspiring learning. Learning that inspires us to create a better world, to do and be better. After all, light shared is the best kind of light.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
I was 4 years old when I left Zambia. My dad was born in Sheila in the south of Italy.
My mom is from Slovakia. We haven't really talked about it, never, not once.
My dad doesn't really talk about his life in Serbia. I just really want to know who he is. And then discover who am I.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
Welcome back to BYU Sports Nation live from Studio B. We just got word that BYU women's soccer practice has run a little bit long in North Carolina.
It's PKs again, but in practice?
It makes perfect sense.
Wow.
So we are working on getting that interview set up with Olivia Wade. We hope to have her in before the end of the show. In the meantime,
if not, she's way more prepared for North Carolina tomorrow.
This is true.
That's what we want more than the interview.
It's a win-win. It's a win-win, and we hope it ends in another win for BYU getting to the Elite Eight. But the show must go on, and that means we move now to BYU football Fantasy Football Friday.
Yeah.
Here are the rules. Each week we pick 3 players to start in our lineup from our roster of 7 current and or former BYU players. The loser from the previous week takes the first waiver wire option if he chooses to use that.
And I will use that to pick up my guy, Cash Peter. No. Okay, here are my starters. Zach Wilson, obviously. Big game every week for Zach. Hey, I need some points, dog.
At New England.
Ben Bywater on defense because he's my only defensive player. And then I'm hoping Christopher Brooks plays. And if he does, perhaps he scores a touchdown or two. If he doesn't, it mattereth not because I haven't won this year. So we'll just keep that going. It's okay. I've emotionally and mentally given up a long time ago.
Hey, if Chris Brooks doesn't play, I will grant you Lopini Katoa. I will give you that option. Okay?
Okay, Chris Brooks / Lopini.
Yes.
We're breaking the rules, but you've allowed it. Nice.
I will allow you
okay,
Lopini Katoa.
good to know.
Because that stinks if Chris Brooks doesn't play.
Yeah, just look right over here at the graphic. Just see Chris right there. What, you take the graphic down when I'm pointing? Okay.
All right, my starters for Week 11. Jaron Hall, he's been the guy. He's
heard of him.
#1 overall pick this season. He's led the charge. I don't know how much he's going to play tomorrow. So I'm wondering.
Have a couple touchdown passes.
If he only plays like, a quarter and a half or 2 quarters, and
there's no way that's the case.
Well, maybe BYU has a bunch of running touchdowns, or I don't know. You never know.
I think he's playing midway through the third at least.
Okay, I hope he plays at least a half. Jaron Hall, to be determined on how much he actually plays. Same for Puka Nacua. I thought, maybe I should go with Jamal Williams because Jamal Williams is going to play the whole game.
Yeah.
But no, I want to honor
stuff,
Puka Nacua on maybe the final game that he plays at LaVell Edwards Stadium, and I'll roll the dice with Puka there.
So risky. What are you up, 9-0?
Well,
by the way, I have an issue. We just skipped last week. We just didn't even do it.
It was a bye week.
I had postured to be ready, and then I realized Zach Wilson had a bye, so it didn't.
It was a bye week. It was a bye week for Zach, and it was a bye week for BYU.
Your boy's going for a single win.
It wouldn't be. I know.
It wouldn't have mattered because I wouldn't have played Zach.
The risk here for me starting Jaron and Puka instead of some of these NFL guys who will play the whole game is now my undefeated mark is potentially on the line, right?
What are you, TCU?
We need some drama here.
TCU trying to go undefeated?
I have to pick one defender, and because I have Max Tooley, and I don't think Max is going to play tomorrow because he's been hurt. Hope he does, but if he doesn't, I go with Fred Warner. So Fred Warner at linebacker, he's my defensive starter.
Poor old Fred coming out the bench.
Jaron, Puka, and Fred.
Man, I drafted like the Raiders this year. Well, honestly, again, I keep saying it because I'm just butthurt about it, but Zach Wilson and Chris Brooks have not delivered in the fantasy category.
We all thought Chris Brooks was going to be at least a 1,000-yard guy.
Yeah, and he's been hurt, but there have been games where he's been inept as well, where it was like, hey, we need you, dog. I need you. Selfishly.
Zach, Jarom needs you. He needs you.
Zach, come through, man. Let's go. Man, although at New England, I know they won the first one, but it was like, no, they lost.
They lost, and that caused all the drama.
Zach
played 3 interceptions.
Terribly in that game. Hopefully he plays better. I need like 4 touchdowns because Jaron Hall's going up against FCS. Let's go.
Mac Jones versus Zach Wilson, quarterbacks from the same
I'm getting destroyed this game, and I know it every week. I'm tanking for next year. Crappy draft.
First pick.
We have Hoops Fantasy on deck. We're waiting until football's done, then we'll get going. But yeah,
you probably get the first pick because of what's happened in football.
And next year in football.
Does that carry over?
Well,
these are rules we need to discuss.
No, I don't. I actually don't care about the football picks next year. Here's why: we don't know who the quarterback is. We don't know who the running back is. Like, unless BYU gets some massive name and it's like, oh my gosh, you want so and so as the first pick.
Is it a keeper league?
You ain't keeping Jaron Hall.
Well, if he gets it, like, is he mine if he goes?
Into the NFL? Is Jaron a starter in the NFL year 1?
No.
No way. You can have him.
I hope not for Jaron's sake that he's not starting in year 1. That's really, really tough. Like, go and learn behind somebody great. Like, you know what would be awesome is if Jaron ended up in a place like Denver. Where,
that's right.
Yeah, well, as rough as it's been for Russell Wilson knows a lot, has experienced a lot.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a great landing spot for Jaron. Or maybe Seattle.
Maybe. I think Seattle's going to pick a quarterback earlier.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right. All right, our question of the day is this. Based on the reports that Twitter may be going away for a while, if Twitter is indeed dying, what is your last tweet concerning BYU sports? at Ames Flames on Twitter says, Dear Twitter,
On Twitter, yeah.
take the pack, however many are left with you. Rest in peace.
Dude, the UCLA meetings with California, pretty interesting. They're like, you're not leaving! It's weird.
The Board of Regents. With Board of Regents in California.
Yes, University of California.
Governor Newsom.
School system.
He shan't stand by as UCLA leaves.
USC private school, the Lucasfilm School. Yeah.
At Twiggy Stone, his tweet, farewell independence, here we come Big 12. Does that mean, like, goodbye Twitter, here we come Instagram?
Doesn't have anything to do with Twitter. Just, we're excited about the Big 12.
Right.
At Snowshoe Freak.
Uh-huh.
Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. These are great.
That's awesome.
These are great. All right. Why not just do our elite voice of the day right now? Presented by PAX, Healthcare Elevated, from at 26CMO on Twitter. Johnny Harleen and Austin Collie are still wide open. Fantastic.
Are still wide open. That's awesome. Okay, listen to BYU Radio's app tomorrow. Early start here, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Sweet 16, baby. BYU and North Carolina. They played an exhibition before the season. There, Cougars lost 2-0. Oh, it's been a minute since August. Let's go tomorrow on the BYU Radio app.
BYU women's soccer playing with house money, right? Like,
yeah.
You got to the Sweet 16.
Sweet 16.
Go and have some fun.
Let's do it.
Trying to avenge an exhibition loss to North Carolina, first game of the season. Get it done. Up next, a Rise and shout out that you all need to hear. Some unique garb being worn on several college football sidelines tomorrow for a great cause. Up next on BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new Frontier? You'll find it at Tim Dowling Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Mark?
Some of my favorite moments are hearing from the family room, just a chorus of laughter.
'Twas your mother's.
BYUtv has been an escape and a refuge for me.
We forgot about random acts.
We love that one.
Today we wanted to do something nice for you.
I see that change on him after that show.
It just brightened everybody's day.
I can do this.
I want to live my life in a way that show showed me.
Let's kick off AFR on BYU TV.
What they did in that fourth quarter was not unexpected in my book.
Everyone did their job perfectly, and it resulted in, obviously, a touchdown.
Who knew that he had these kind of hands?
And right at the snap of the football, they both go right downhill. And that was the end of that. He knocked him down pretty quickly.
This program is on demand. You can download the free BYUtv and BYU Radio apps. It's called BYU Sports Nation in case you missed it. And you can subscribe, rate, and review. A couple of scoring updates. One good, one bad. Men's soccer beat Colorado State 6-0 in the third round with a hat trick from Evan Smith. Game winner in the 5th minute by Eric Morris. Very nice. And then sadly, USA Rugby tied Portugal 16-16. The Portuguese advance on point differential. The United States Rugby, Paula Sique, do not advance and get the final spot in the Rugby World Cup next year. So that is a bummer.
Dang it. You know what?
Bummer.
I'm going to push it forward to the actual World Cup that's starting for Team
Soccer.
USA on Monday.
Yeah.
Against Wales and Gareth Bale.
Yep. Yep, can't wait. We'll be wearing our USA kits,
Yeah.
so it'll be a fun day.
I literally pulled every bit of United States clothing out of my closet and set it apart for the next 2 weeks.
Set it apart like a counselor in a bitch.
No.
Okay, cool.
Put it in a unique section of my closet so that I can go there. I'm all USA.
It's the United States
I'm
section.
all USA for the next 2 weeks.
We were questioning how USA you were until this moment.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Now we know.
Now we
Red,
know.
white, and blue, baby.
Before we were like, a little bit of Canada in there. I don't know what's going on.
Our question of the day, and we should tell you, Olivia Wade, because of practice complications, they're getting ready for the Sweet 16 match. So bummer we can't talk to her. But
that is an acceptable reason.
Yes, I'm going to send her some karma.
We're good.
Send her some karma. Okay.
Production team's like, we made some graphics and
They
video.
did. Hey, we're
gonna
ready
be all right.
regardless. We're ready regardless.
We made a music video. In fact, do we just want to play it? Just because?
You want to play the music video?
Let's play it. Let's play it. Here it is.
Okay, music video for Olivia Wade and BYU women's soccer. Let's go, Sweet 16.
And Olivia Wade's going to break the 25 yards. And the Cougs open on top. The shot, the save! The save by Sill! Right-footed shot, and a goal!
Now the production team can collectively be happy.
We're appeasing the production assistants now. Yes! They've shown us stuff! If you used everything, though, you didn't produce enough, okay? Just keep that in mind.
Our question of the day, we close out this fantastic Friday show. If Twitter is indeed dying, so dumb.
It's not.
What is your...
That's just like a massive joke that everyone ran with last
What
night.
is your last tweet concerning BYU sports? On a side tangent, I saw... So someone tweeted Space Karen, Elon Musk with a Karen haircut.
Space Karen?
Because Elon runs Twitter now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I thought that was so funny. So stupid. Twitter, you know what? Might be good if it goes away for a little while.
I don't. No.
No?
It's the greatest aggregator of information and opinion ever created. Facebook arguably bigger, but I like Twitter more. By the way, my last tweet would be this: if Twitter is done, if this is the end, I want everyone to know we still ran out of time for Dennis.
Yeah, I saw you tweet that last night.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then someone tweeted the gif at me of Michael Scott to Toby, why are you?
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Patrick Boo one again for a second day in a row.
Maybe BYU Barstool sent that one. I don't know. I didn't see that one.
All right. Okay.
Which is an upcoming segment on the show. Check my mentions.
Yes. We're still working on that. Today's Rise and Shout Out, a very heartfelt one, presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics, goes to former BYU football player and now running backs coach for Washington State, Mark Atuwaya, and all of the former Virginia coaches who, in a show of support this weekend, will be wearing Virginia gear on the sidelines while coaching their current teams. This is unprecedented. This will include BYU directors of player personnel Justin Anderson and recruiting Patrick Hickman and Utah Tech co-defensive coordinator and corners coach Shane Hunter here in Provo. So watch for that if you're at the game, LaVell Edwards Stadium. We stand with you. Love and support all those mourning those lost at Virginia. Our thanks to today's guests. Ed Eyestone was fantastic in front of the art. And Riley Nelson for BYU
Dennis,
football.
ran out of time.
For Jarom, I am Spencer. Shout out to Patty Edwards. Go Cougs.